Hey, what's going on? Welcome to Behind the Masterminds, episode 78. 78.
Yeah. Hi, everybody.
What's going on? Where is everybody joining us from? Tell us. We want to know. But before we do so, I hope everyone had an incredible week. We're getting off to a good start for this weekend. We're really excited for this episode today because we have two amazing creators on the show that have created long but very satisfying escape room experiences that have won some prestigious awards in the escape room industry. First up, we have Chris from San Francisco, California. What's going on, Chris? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So Chris Alden is the founder of Palace Games, which is rated one of the top escape room companies in the USA and has digital as well as physical escape rooms for consumer and business groups alike. Previously, he was the co-founder of Red Herring, a magazine, events, and online media company known as the Bible of Silicon Valley. After Red Herring, he started Rojo. Did I pronounce that right?
Like
Rojo.
Mojo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mojo to Rojo. He started Rojo, an early Web 2.0 company that pioneered new concepts in social media consumption and sharing. After Rojo's acquisition by Six Apart, he became CEO of that blogging software and services company until its sale to Say Media in late 2010. He then co-founded the Tugboat Institute, where he helped to define the core principles of evergreen businesses for the CEO membership organization. Evergreen businesses are led by purpose-driven leaders with the grit and resourcefulness to build and scale private, profitable, enduring, and market-leading businesses that make a dent in the universe. He left Tugboat to found his own evergreen business, Palace Games, in January 2015. Everyone, please say hello to Chris. Next, we're traveling all the way to the beautiful country of Greece, in Athens specifically. Please say hi to Dimitris.
Hello.
Dimitris is the owner and game designer of Paradox Project. Paradox Project currently has 3 games with the 4th one in the works, and their goal is to deploy logic, awareness while utilizing your 5 senses and each team member's skills to solve a mystery where you decide the outcome. Paradox Project 1 is the evolution of the game, the first escape house in Greece, a real 120 square meter, about 1,300 square feet, home in a neoclassical building full of mystery and secrets. All 3 experiences will have you fully immersed and have you feel like you're part of the game. That was a lot.
Yeah.
But please say hello to Dimitris again. Yes.
Yay.
All right.
Thank you for having us.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm eager to find out more about the creative minds behind these amazing games. Audience, if you have any questions for them, please feel free to type it in the chat, and then we will relay it to them. Cece, are you ready to start off the first question?
Yeah, I have so many. So it's usually what happens. I'm like, oh, everybody just let me finish my questions first and I'll get to you.
Oh, we have a fellow Greek native from Georgios.
Nice. All right. So my first question to you guys is, tell us about your games. How many do you have currently? Which, we kind of summarized before, but how long are they? Is there a minimum in terms of players? And, don't give away any secrets,
Yeah,
but
no spoilers.
what is, how big are they? Why, are they so long in terms of time-wise for playtime? Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Dimitris.
Volunteered you.
Thank you so much. Again, thanks for having us. It was wonderful to meet you this summer when you visited Athens. So yeah, we at Paradox Project currently have 4 games in Greece. 3 of the games are located in Athens and 1 is located in Paros Island. What is unique about our games is the long duration of the games. We opened in 2014 with The Mansion, that is a 3-hour long game taking place in the whole house, like you mentioned, 120 square plus meters. And the idea behind it was to make a big experience that is longer and bigger and something that, we would like to play as gamers. And we continued in 2018 with the sequel to The Mansion that is called The Bookstore. The bookstore is located below The Mansion on the ground floor. They're both in the same building. And it's a real bookstore. You know that because people pass by and think that it's a real bookstore, but it's not. So the game is our longest one. It's currently running at 200 minutes, so it's 3 hours and 20 minutes long. And it's, like I said, the sequel to The Mansion. In 2020, we opened our third game in Athens, which is called the Music Academy. Again, it takes place in a whole house. It is 3+ hours long, and it has nothing to do with the previous two games. So it's an original story. It's a separate one. And the sequel of the Music Academy is coming up in the next years. And also, last but not least, last summer we opened in Paros Island, which is our beloved island because one of our team is from Paros Island. So we decided to open a game in the island of Paros called The Mansion of Paros, which is 2 hours long. We decided to make it a little bit shorter for the island.
That's short for them.
Yeah, that I was gonna say that's on the shorter side.
Yes. So for you, in terms of booking wise, minimum players, what do you request usually? Or can we, I know we did it with 2, but.
Yeah, well, that's actually the min to the max.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually it's 4 to 7 people. But after request, we can have it with less people if they have in mind where they're heading into, because the games are long and they are not easy. So it's a challenging experience, but if people want to experience that and are, warned beforehand about that they might get a little bit more, stuck or a little bit more challenging nature of a game, which sure it's perfectly fine.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely doable with 2 people, but there is a lot.
Yeah. But you know what? He allows restroom breaks in the room. You don't actually take away time from that. And then also
you can bring your
if you're
food and
hungry, you can order like pizza, whatever, delivery to it, and you can play along and eat at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is
I
pretty
think that's
awesome.
rare experience.
We try to make it as realistic as possible. Everything that you can do in your house, you can do in our game.
Yeah.
Yes.
We totally felt that.
All right, Chris, you're up.
Thanks. So we started in 2015 in the Palace of Fine Arts, which is this fantastic building in San Francisco. And it has, maybe some architectural similarities, from classical elements. And we felt, because it was built for this fantastic World's Fair in 1915, so we wanted to build rooms that, at least the narrative was, we're here in 1915, we're built as part of the experience. And there was these amazing people, about 20 million people came to this event in 1915. And some of them were just, truly amazing people, Harry Houdini and Thomas Edison and Teddy Roosevelt and Alexander Graham Bell and Henry Ford, all Helen Keller, Charlie Chaplin. So we first started by thinking, well, Harry Houdini, if he were here, what if he had built an escape room? He was always building contraptions to test his own prowess to escape. What if he decided to build an escape room for 8 of those brilliant innovators that were here? And so that's the story of the first room, the Harry Houdini room. And so it's meant to have been here since 1915. Then our second room was the Teddy Roosevelt room. And so there's a story there. Why did Harry Houdini build the room? Well, turns out Teddy Roosevelt had him do it. Why did Teddy Roosevelt have him do it? Well, there's a sacred purpose. And then the room goes on with the Teddy Roosevelt room. And then our third room is the Edison room. And again, we start with, okay, what if Thomas Edison built an escape room? What it would have been looked like? Why would he have built it? What would he have done? And then for our fourth room, called the Attraction, we decided to do something a little bit different. The innovators have found something in 1915, a mysterious object, and that led them to do something, create this attraction that then got shut down. But we've just recently reopened it back 100 years later. So those are the kind of the stories. And to answer some of your questions, we started thinking that the room would be 8 players. So the Houdini room, was what we say is like the first escape people ever played escape room were in 1915, or they was 8 brilliant people: Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, Helen Keller. And so you now get to put yourselves as if you were those 8 people and try to escape the room. That one, Houdini allotted 10 minutes per, so it adds up to 80 minutes. So that's the goal of the first room. And then Roosevelt room ended up being 90. The Edison room is 100. And basically the attraction's sort of untimed. And yeah.
What does untimed mean?
Untimed. Like there's no
Oh.
time. There's no time. I mean, the whole timing thing is, it can be fun, but with the attraction, we didn't want it to feel like a race. It was a journey. And sometimes when you're so focused on time, you're not focused on the story, the narrative, the art, the themes, and there's a lot of story and interesting intrigue in the attraction. And we said, it's really not about a race for this particular one. So.
Okay, so you can finish it anytime. Like it's gonna be.
What we do with our rooms is, so we found people's energy starts to lag. I mean, I'm so impressed that you can do these 3-hour rooms and it's inspiring. But we found that, like, for most of our groups, they sort of, as you get to the 2-hour mark, people are just, there's a lot of people who are lagging. So what we'll do is we'll still try to get you to a certain time, but the room is adaptive. So if your team is sort of behind, what a lot of escape rooms will do is to shoehorn to a time, they'll stop at an arbitrary point, and then you don't get to play the end. What we'll do is let you have a beginning, middle, and end, but we'll take stuff out of the middle so that you still have roughly a 2-hour at most experience. So if you're getting to 2 hours or more, we'll do stuff so that you end pretty soon.
Oh, so you can gauge it, like you can control it.
Yeah, and
adjustments in the room that you can take out.
Yeah, and a lot of that's done automatically. The room is sort of adaptive, and then the GMs or hosts can also intervene if they feel like, okay, this team's a little tired. Maybe they want to go straight from this puzzle to that puzzle or something like that.
Okay.
Does everyone get to see the ending though? That means?
Yeah, that's the point, is that playing it, you'll never feel like we missed this, we missed that. Playing it, you'll still have that 3-act or 5-act structure, and beginning, a middle, and an end, and a resolution, and all that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
I do sense that your game just keeps getting longer and longer. You never
it's starting
know.
to.
It's gonna get to that 3 hours soon.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think building a long game is actually that challenging. I mean, for us, we kind of design 3-hour games that we then have to weed back down to 2-hour games, and that's kind of a good process because it forces you to really be thoughtful about what should stay and what should go. But
But sometimes it's hard because it's like, oh, I like this, but I also like this, and which one do I keep and which one? Yes, I know it's probably a hard, hard choice to make.
Probably going to be one of my questions later, so I'm not going to touch upon that route. But what made you guys want to create longer escape room experiences and not go with the standard 6 minutes of that's 60 minutes that's out there? Dimitris, want to go first?
Yeah, sure. First of all, coming back to the last question, I totally agree with Chris. We have the same mindset about the time. In Paradox, we don't have a high score or a list of best times because we don't care about times. We just want the teams to finish the story. So more or less, we have the same thing as you described. So it is important for us also the team to reach an end. So if we adapt the game during the team is playing, we also can adjust and remove things from the middle of the game. So I like that we have the same mindset. And the difference is that our games most of them have 3 different endings depending on what team does in the final few minutes. But we want them to reach the end and have a conclusion to the story. I don't like it nowadays when games are abruptly ended and you don't know what happened and you have to go back. I don't think it's fun. So coming back to your question, Sissy, the first escape room in Greece opened around December of 2013. So there were only 2 escape rooms back then, and we immediately played them. We fell in love with them, so we were expecting when the next one would pop up to go play that. And by the time that the 3rd and 4th appeared, we already fell in love with them, and we wanted to open one of ourselves with my best friends. In Paradox, I want to take the opportunity to say that we are 5 people. So I'm going to mention that there is Konstantinos, Michalis, Yannis, and the second Dimitris. So we are 5 people that most of us know each other from school, and we love the escape room. So we wanted to create something that we would love to play as players, because above all, we are gamers. So we understood some of the points that we wanted to hit were the story. So for us, the story is the first thing that we create and we write. So the mansion and the bookstore is based on a short novel that we wrote before adapting it into a game. And then the duration came because 1 hour is not enough. Like when you have fun, time flies by so quickly. So
Yeah.
we felt it as gamers that we needed more. And when we understood that we would visit an escape room and we wanted to play 2 games back to back, then immediately in our minds came the idea of creating something that is longer and more cohesive. And that's how we started. And then we came up with the idea that the mansion and the bookstores are 2 games that are set in Athens nowadays. So it's an original story written by us. So we wanted it to be as realistic as possible, and someone would feel like it's real. And the more realistic it is, the more immersive it is from our point of view. So the house was the first one. So we wanted to create a real house. We didn't have in mind the time frame back then. We were thinking something over 2 hours, but we had no idea how much it would end up. And like Chris mentioned, the game was much longer than 3 hours because this happens when you create and then you have to edit down. And we are.
How long was the original one? Yeah, I know you mentioned this before, but how long was the raw?
For the first game, I don't want to say something about the mansion because it was our first game, so we had no idea what we were setting ourselves up to. But the first team that played the bookstore did around 5.5 hours without some of the in-game hints and text. So the game is more or less the same, but we wanted to see how teams would react to a game that is that. So we tried to edit it down to 3 hours as well, but we couldn't. So that's why it's 200 minutes instead of 180.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So just FYI, guys, we did play the bookstore and the Music Academy kind of back to back. We had a meal in between. And everybody that we tell this to is we tell them that it's a 3 hours plus game. But it never felt like 3 hours because we felt like we were progressing and learning so much as we went that we were just in a movie that just kept going. And it was just so enjoyable the whole time. Like, you know, we never looked at our watch at once. We never looked at the clock. We never like said, "Oh my God, is this almost like we've been in here so long?" It was never about that. It was just
There's no place to check time anyways in there. Like you don't. Really,
I'm sure it, but
I don't know what it is. So yeah.
Thank you for saying that. It is our goal. Like we want the team to be lost in an experience. And about what you said, in general, when a team contact us and want to book all 3 of our games, in general, we tend to advise them to play our games on 3 separate days. So there has been things like you, because you only had a day and a half in Athens, so you were running around like crazy.
Yeah.
So I admire you for playing so many hours each day, because I have also played 2 hour and 2.5 hour games, and then I just wanted to go for dinner and beer. So it's really tough sometimes, but I'm really glad you enjoyed the games, and we advise people to play them on separate days. But if they choose to play them on the same day, like you said, you need a big break between.
Right? Yeah, for sure. Power meals and coffee.
So,
sure.
Chris, what made you want to create a longer escape room?
Yeah, I don't think we ever really focused on the time. Certainly at the beginning, it was just trying to build the room that we thought, made sense and had the components that we wanted and had, the story and the elements, and then sort of trying to get it to a time that was reasonable. I do feel that, it sometimes just takes people a while to kind of get in the scheme of, get in the mood and, forget the, there's always a whole bunch of baggage that you still have with you, maybe even 20 minutes in, 30 minutes in. So I feel like once you get there, we want them to have enough time in that zone where they've forgotten about the outside world and they're just immersed in it and they're playing and they're interested. And I think in general with 60 minutes or these 50 minutes, I think sometimes you can feel like, I was just getting into it and then it's over.
Yeah.
So we've just tended to like that hour and a half time. And as I said, we found that sometimes, you know, if it's too much longer than that, people start to get mentally exhausted. I think a 3-hour room or 5-hour room would be really just a lot of fun to play and a lot of fun to do. But yeah, we just, you know, you put so much effort into designing a room, and you just inevitably come up with so many ideas and things you want that an hour always just for us is felt like a short shrift. But mostly what we did is we just designed the room, kind of built to make sense, and then ask ourselves, how long should the average team take? And then that's how long we say, you know, that's, for us, the time is really just a guidance so that people have some kind of benchmark in their mind.
Yeah. And since we're on this topic of creation, how long does it usually take you to actually complete a room from starting from design to completion? And I guess, like, what steps do you usually take? Like, is it from a whiteboard, writing down a story first, or is it more like compile the puzzles and then come up with the story flow?
You want to start with me this time?
Yeah.
So how long? Well, it really varies. So the first room, our Houdini room, we probably did it in less than 6 months, from everything from, you know, creation to all that, to building it. And then the Roosevelt room took about a year, and then the Edison room took about a year and a half, and then the attraction would have taken 2 years, but we were really set to open in March of 2020. And if you're keeping up with the news, something bad happened then, and we were shut down for a year and a half. So 3.5 years from thinking about, at least 3.5, maybe 4, I can't even remember. So that took a long time. Okay, so the process, we have a pretty discursive, non-linear, stochastic process where we do try to constrain ourselves, pick some kind of theme. So, you know, what room would Harry Houdini build? And that helps frame it. So we start with some kind of basic framing like that. But then we just throw a lot of ideas and try not to be constrained by thinking about, oh, can we actually build it? Just come up with the biggest and the most interesting ideas that we can. And very often we'll go down dead ends. You know, we'll really love an idea, and then we'll just sort of work it out and talk it out. And our process was, we have a team. I've been very fortunate to be with a group of people, some of whom have been working, you know, we've been working together from the very first moment of Palace Games and still working together. And we would usually meet for at least, you know, 3 or 4 hour periods once a week, and just talk. And again, you know, maybe come up with 100 ideas for every 1 or 2 that we would actually take and build. And you have to be open to throwing out stuff that may not be half-baked. You have to be open to killing your, you know, horrible examples going in my mind. You have to be willing to let your ideas that you've fallen in love with, you have to be willing to kind of kill them off. If they just don't get there, so you can't be too stubborn with that, and just, you know, so we'll have that process, and then we'll think more about, the other point is to think about what major gameplay elements we may want to build. So not just stories, but is there something cool we want to have happen physically, or, you know, how do we want to surprise them? What kind of a transition? What kind of a wow factor? So you want to build some of those in, and then sometimes build some of the stories and the puzzles around that. And you think about flow in the design. Is it parallel? Is it, you know, is it sequential, or is it some of one, some of not? How do you think about the gameplay, how we engineer, and just talk. And then at some point, we usually won't be done. We'll say, we just got to start building this. So we start building it, even though we're not done with everything, and then iterate, and eventually get it done and build it and then test it. And then at the end, you kind of, you know, use the cluing to kind of tweak things, engage things. So that's roughly our process.
I'm assuming as you go, you're tweaking it even when the room is open, right? Like there's certain feedbacks that you're getting, and then
beta testers that are,
you're adjusting it.
Yeah, you know, it's one of these things where in the early times, our beta testers were our first customers, and, you know, like the attraction, we definitely did a lot more actual beta testing and did a lot of adjusting for that. Because it's sometimes really hard as the designer to really know what's obvious, what's not obvious, what's easy, what's hard. You almost always, at least in our experience, almost always think things are easier than people think. Things are almost always harder. So you never want to make things too easy, but I think the greater sin can sometimes making things, it's easy to make a hard puzzle
Right.
that is unfair. And, so we really try to have puzzles that are fair, and so that everyone can do them, but you still have a sense of accomplishment when you've done it. They're not, so mindless that you don't feel like you've accomplished anything.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of agreeable points, right, Dimitri, for what Chris said.
Yeah.
I don't know, anything else to add to that, I guess?
The thing about the time frame, it's completely weird, and we don't know it beforehand. Especially when we were building our first game, we had never done something like that before, so we were experimenting a lot, and a lot of things went wrong, as you probably guess, and there were a lot of tweaks and things that changed during the creation of the mansion. But it took us more than 1.5 years to finish, and taking all the feedback from the mansion that, in a few days, there is the 7th birthday of the mansion, so it's been running for 7 years. And I don't believe that. If you told me 5 years ago, I thought we were discussing about soon the mansion is gonna die off, so we have to leave this building and go somewhere else. And now we are in the 7th year and it's still running. It's crazy. So I wanted to mention that I told you 2 of the 5 of us in our team, we have an engineer and an architect in our team, so we do a lot of stuff ourselves. So when we say a lot, some of our games are 90% done by us, the 5 of us, physically, mentally, everything. So it takes us more time, and we know that. But sometimes when you want something to be done your way, you have to do it yourself. And we are learning a little bit to let go. It's not easy for me personally, but we are working on it. So the bookstore took more than 2.5 years to prepare. We got completely crazy because we loved the reaction of the people for the mansion. So we wanted to go overboard and make something that was more spectacular and more interesting and surprise the teams in different ways. So even though the script was ready, the basic story was ready from 2014, the bookstore is a much more difficult, strange, weird, and trippy game than the mansion. So the mansion is a real house. So it's a realistic house, and it's 3 hours real time about finding something and needing to react on it. The bookstore is a sequel, but it also works as a prequel. So it's a little bit more dreamy, and there's a little bit more traveling and learning more secrets from the past and exploring back to what's happening now. So it's like what Chris said, story for us always comes first. So we want everything to be very coherent and very cohesive to the story. But also we have some basic ideas about what is that major point in this room? What is that exciting new idea that we have never seen before as gamers that we want to introduce in another room? So we have some major things, and we have a big tank, like we say, a tank of puzzles and riddles that we have come up over the years. And then we try to see if some of them work with our story and some of them don't. You might have an amazing idea that we like and it doesn't fit the story, it doesn't fit the room. So we put it back there and we have to come up with something new. And also, like Chris mentioned, when you start building, as ready as you think you are, things are definitely changing. When you're building and where you're creating, a new idea might come up, or something that you have put all of your effort and love to create, you put it in the place and you see the environment or the flow of the puzzles, and it just doesn't feel right. You just know it instinctively. So it can be hard, but it's better to, work as a team and understand what needs to be done or removed and changed and altered.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And you definitely, I mean, because we played your game before, so I kind of like know like what is the wow moments in there, and it's very different, especially ending. You focus a lot on, and like you want that ending to be very memorable, and we definitely feel that in all of games for sure.
Yeah.
But Chris,
Another-
we've never played, and oh, sorry, did you want to ask something?
So I forgot to mention, sorry for interrupting. The other thing that is different in our games is the inclusion of videos. So going back in 2014, we really missed the immersion of the game. Like you met a game master telling you something that was like 2 lines of dialogue or story, and then you got inside and nothing happened. So we thought about ideas how to make the game more immersive, and our idea of approaching this is by including videos. So we have the story, we make it into a script, and then we approach it like shooting a movie. So we shoot some videos that you watch in the beginning, during the game, and in the ending. So the videos are going along with you, unfolding the story. And also it is very important in our games to understand who is talking to you, when and why. I felt it back then as a gamer that some of the hints were given to you by, I don't know, a computer or no one in particular. So for me, it's very important that the person who is talking to you, even about the story or about giving you a hint or a nudge to move along and do something, that is a part of the story, that is a main character, and there is a reason why someone is helping you or talking to you. So our idea was including the videos with the acting, and we think about them as, you know, a short break between chapters in our games.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I guess solves the issue of like having to hire live actors and then also making sure the quality of every live actor is the same.
Yeah.
Having live actors is something completely different.
Right.
Nowadays, more and more escape rooms around the world have actors, especially in Athens. And some of the games that have actors are amazing, but it's a different thing. It's a different experience.
Yep.
Yeah, we do see a lot of talks about live actors in the future games coming up, especially with immersive theater, mixed experiences for sure. Do you see some of that too, and Chris, with the upcoming stuff in Cali?
I'm sorry, you're asking me what
Yeah, like do you see any like live actor experiences popping up in Cali that's kind of merging escape room as well?
There are a lot of great live actors, escape rooms. It's not been something that we've done. It's just not our particular style.
Yeah.
Just for various reasons. We have done video though. So we're basically more like with Dimitris, and particularly with our 4th room, where we really wanted that to be a story. You know, some of the, like the Houdini room, there's a setup, there's a narrative, but it's not like you're going through a hero's journey or you're a protagonist, and you know. And with the attraction, we wanted to have that kind of an experience where you go through and it's an adventure that you're on. And we do use videos and characters and things like that, but not live. I think there's phenomenal live actor rooms. Again, it's just not been our particular style.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, like, we still haven't been to your location yet. I don't know why. We've heard so much great things.
We haven't been back to
Cali
Cali in a
games.
while. We need
Yeah.
to.
Not to come to San Francisco. I get it.
But I wanted, I mean, we did play your online games before though.
Yeah.
Your online games are pretty great in
Palasphere,
terms of all the puzzles that been due. They have been with us through our COVID times. They're home when we're all sad and stuff. It had brought joy to our faces. So I wanted to know, because I do detect that kind of style where your puzzles are a lot about integrations of teamwork and team building. A lot of puzzles are about like working together, even for digital. So for your in-person rooms, you kind of feel that's also a goal that you're trying to incorporate in your games?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think for an experience to be fun with a group of people, and that's one of the things that makes escape rooms, I think, such a wonderful and unique, you know, medium, both artistically and you know, in play, is you get people to collaborate with each other, and that collaboration and coordination, communication, and having experiences where different people have different skill sets and different personalities, extroverts or introverts, can all work together and feel like they actually meaningfully did something together, and there's a shared goal that they reached. And I just can't think of many other areas in life where we have that kind of a dynamic in such an accessible way. So we clearly try to design rooms that way, so that almost like the perfect puzzle that we strive for, everyone has to do something in order to solve it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, I wanted to avoid the idea where there's this puzzle that's really hard, and the smart person in the group does it, and everyone else is sort of kind of watching them in awe and feeling, okay, yeah, well, thank God that Sally's here to do all the thinking for us. So we try to design things that you physically need other people to do things, and have a diversity of challenges so that people are good at word stuff, will have something to do with math stuff and image stuff and logic stuff. But a lot of it is designed to get everyone active and moving. And I like what I would call kinetic puzzles, things where you got to move a little bit and do something physical. And so it's not like we're designing it for teamwork or corporate stuff like that. That doesn't really enter our mind. It's more like, what's fun for a group of people, any group of people, work group of people, right. A birthday party, what's fun? And fun is get people up, moving, thinking, talking, collaborating through a shared goal, and having shared success and fun.
Yeah. So I'm trying to recall. I remember there's Emerald Palace, there's Sapphire Palace, the Ruby Palace, Palace of Destiny. Which one was your favorite? I'm just curious, dude.
Oh my God, I can't remember which palace is which palace. But I love the I think I
know which one you're gonna say.
Really? I do love trivia stuff, so I actually do like the one with a lot of those trivia questions. But I think you probably like the one with more mechanical things where you can click around and.
From what I remember, I believe Emerald Palace was my favorite. I'm going to put this out there for our viewers. If you've played any of the Palace Fair games, which one was your favorite? Let's type it in. Yeah. I think Emerald was mine, and I'm pretty sure Cece, I thought she was going to say Sapphire, but
yeah,
she can't remember which one was which. So
what we did, when basically, we got shut down in March of 2020. And so instead of just saying, okay, bye, we'll see y'all later. Well, most of our people, at least a lot of the people on the team had technical backgrounds. It's like, well, we still want to make games. We can't make physical games, and let's make virtual games. And we started immediately with something called the Palace of Destiny, which was just a free game. And it's still there. And there's a lot of literally, I don't know how long it would take a person to go from the beginning to the end, but it would take days, to do it, frankly. So there's lots of puzzles in that. And then we said, well, we better make a business. So we built the Ruby Palace. And the idea was to build, the Ruby Palace, and then the Sapphire Palace, and then the Emerald Palace. Oh, you can't see. Sorry, Ruby Palace.
That's awesome.
So anyway, and the Ruby one is a little bit more puzzly, and then Sapphire is a little more mechanic and puzzly, and then Emerald's a little more gameplay. And we really tried to come up with different things to see what because with Ruby it's puzzly, but again, not everyone necessarily is involved in that. And so with Emerald, I think everyone has to do a little something. So anyway, those were, and we're really proud of those games and have people playing them all the time. And, both, just friends and family type games. And then corporate groups, it was also designed so you could have 100 or 200 people play at the same time, breaking up into teams and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We
got one shout out for Sapphire.
Yeah, Matthew Louis, Sapphire game.
Sapphire. Yep. Okay. So I have a question for Dimitri, because we were super happy about playing both of those games at Athens. I remember I was asking you, can we play all three back to back? Because it's us. We play from 8 a.m. to 12 midnight. That's usually our schedule. So I'm like, yeah. 3 games. This is probably quite easy, right?
Let's knock them out.
And then he was like, don't do this to yourself. Listen to me. You're not going to make it. And I was like, I don't understand why. It's just 3 games.
Yeah.
But anyways, wow, those are fun times. I mean, now I understand why. But I think like if we were to continue and play another one, we probably could have.
We probably could have. You would have heard our stomachs rumbling over the microphone from your end, though.
Yeah. This is always a question.
You might have got hangry too in the room with each other. So.
Yeah. But I wanted to know, because I'm always wondering about these, games that you build for so long. Like, what are some challenges? One challenge I can think of is like, when you're game mastering, is the bathroom next to you, or do you have to take like a iPad and bring us in with you? Because like, we can't live, it's
like
3 hours.
Any moment
pretty
we could
long
be asking
for yourself.
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting story.
He's like, I can't let that one out.
When we were creating the mansion, basically we hadn't thought about that a lot. So for that game, the game master is completely locked somewhere for 3+ hours. So it's a bit different, but we made sure in our second and third game to have like doors and windows. So good for us. It's a challenging part for us. Like I really think that it's not an easy game to navigate. You have to be, along the thing for the ride, and it has the pros and cons. It's a long game, so our game master's room is full with snacks and refrigerator and a lot of stuff. But on the other hand, having 3 hours, you really get to know the thing. I really believe that in some 1-hour games, especially when the team doesn't need a lot of interaction, the game can finish up very quickly, and the team, you don't really know them. In 3 hours, you can get the feeling a lot better about like what type of people are, how fun they want to be for the game to be, or do they want more hints that are more vague or less hints that are more to the point? Because our hints tend to be a little bit of cryptic and a little bit of puzzly in themselves, which is something I personally like, but some people don't. In a 3-hour span, you have to get to know your team and get, to understand their way, their thinking process, and what would make them feel happy. In the end, it's just a fun experience. Our games are challenging. Our games are mostly known in Greece, so that a little bit of experience doesn't help. Like recently, I had a couple coming over, and it was the mansion was their 100th escape room, and they have been playing for years, but they were saving it for a big number, and they are waiting for the bookstore to be their 150th escape room. So
nice.
I understand that some people, understand that if you want to play all of the 300 escape rooms that there are in Athens, I would do the same. Like I would never go to the hardest ones first. So going up the ladder of difficulty is better for the experience of you as well. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're coming back, and we're doing their sequel to Music Academy as our 800th room.
Wow. But they're probably going to have their new one coming out soon.
Yeah, the sequel.
We're going to talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah, later.
Yeah, the sequel.
Yeah. But Chris, anything to add to like challenges that you had to face when building these games?
Challenges, it's you want to create something that's physically fun, like there's great fun physical transitions and things like that, but you have to do it in a way that is durable and safe, and so you got to have doors that open away from you, that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of our challenges is building stuff that is just durable. I mean, if I have any regret, it's, when we didn't build something as robust as we could have or should have, and we didn't anticipate how something would break. And it when things break, that always hurts my heart when someone has an experience that's less than perfect. And so we've got better with our rooms and thinking about, how do you do make resetting easier, and how do you create things that are not just more beautiful and more fun, but also more robust. And thinking about the flow. Those are, I guess, some of the things that we think about.
Oh, okay. I mean, like, you didn't calculate in how strong the players are, the strength of the fingers.
Yeah,
They're
or
not
climbing on stuff, or this is supposed to open, but it won't. I'll make it open.
It's the constant headache of escape rooms. Like, I don't like nagging players when they come. I don't like presuming that they're just, little ruffians that are going to destroy everything. But unfortunately, you sometimes just have to say, please don't, And there's some rooms where you break stuff and you get rewarded. And so we say, like, if you break stuff here, it's just going to slow you down. And, but yeah, I mean, there's definitely, like in our fourth room, the biggest regret maybe was we did something where people just want to yank on this thing so much harder than they need to. And we can show them, you don't need to yank on the thing that hard, and they'll still yank, because their adrenaline's going, they're pumping. And so it's a constant problem that sometimes people aren't kind. I will say, kind to the room and the thing. For the vast majority of players, though, are good and respectful, and respect the room and what we do.
Yeah, for sure. And Dimitri, do you have that same problem in Greece, or because I feel like San Francisco probably has like a bit more strict rules on build and safety versus
how to
saying,
play.
Well, no, I was just talking about like the safety, standards, or maybe a little bit like more freedom for him to do a little bit of something in his room in terms of design versus our crazy fighters here that have to inspect the sprinkler systems in most areas of the United States. So I don't really know if it's like a little easier over there.
It's more or less the same. Like even before, there was a very strict thing to go over. Most of us escape room owners in Athens, we did it ourselves. Like, you have to think like logically. Like, you don't need someone to tell you when something is dangerous or not. You have to understand it by yourself when you're building something for safety reasons, and because you want the team to have fun and enjoy the experience regardless of what happens. But yeah, I agree with Chris. Like when we made the mansion, we were more focused on the design of the room and making it look like a real house. And we were very surprised to see some of the damages that happened over the first year. You also know that in the mansion and in the bookstore, you don't meet anyone. It's not a secret anymore. It used to be back then. When you arrive, you enter and the game starts immediately. So we assume that people know the basic of how they should, deal with everything that come along, but not everyone does. So it was a problem, a little bit of a problem back then in 2014 and 15, when it was the beginning of things in Athens. Having the teams with no rules and being completely free to do whatever they wanted was a bit of a problem. But we learned from our mistakes, and the second and the third games are much more built to last, and everything is very clear what needs to be moved or not. So it's more obvious for teams, because you also don't want the teams to be distracted or waste time doing
red herrings. Yeah,
it should be.
Yeah, that's why Chris left red herrings.
He said, "I'm done with red herrings. I'm moving on to."
I wanted to say that before, but I was like, you're doing the intro. I'm not gonna break you. But anyways, okay. Anyways, so I'm just thinking, like, this is a question that just popped in my head. It's not on the pre-questions I sent you guys, but any memorable like stories you can tell us in terms of what did a player do in your room that you just like, not crazy stuff, you don't have to say like they break their but more on a more amazing scale side. Like, for instance, I remember when we went to play Dimitri's room, Brandon brute forced one of the puzzles, and then Dimitri came over on a speaker and was like, if you want to like skip like 40 minutes of the game, then go ahead and put it in the lock and open it. And then we were like, no, we don't want to skip 40 minutes of the game.
Just FYI, I locked it back up and I scrambled the
Yeah.
digits so we can play it out the way we're supposed
Yeah,
to.
yeah, because that's the right way to do
I
things.
did have logic behind what I tried though, and I told Dimitri this is why I chose this. But yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. But I wanted to know, like, any memorable things that you guys remember, like a thing that just happened, you know, since you opened. You can always tell the story to anyone who asks you guys about any. Do you need a minute, or you came out already?
Yeah, first of all, I'm always I always wonder at the people who try to force things open. It's like, well, if you came here just to force it open, what's the point? You know, so we don't lock the doors when you go in, and we say you can go out this door, but that's not escaping, that's just leaving, you know. So you know, if you can force open the lock, I don't really get how that's fun for people, and so most people don't do that. But we've had at least a dozen marriage proposals in our rooms, and that's pretty special. And and they range from, you know, people who just, you know, do play the room and then do it, and then other times we'll do some things to kind of make it special and interesting. And so that's kind of fun, and it's fun to see.
Is that 100% success rate on the proposals?
I know that we've had 100% yes rate. You know, we haven't tracked them through the marriages.
Oh, after.
Haven't seen all that and seen how they success, but yeah, we've had 100% so far. And you know, but it's fun to see different groups. I also kind of like the family group who has the recalcitrant teenager who comes in with sulky and they don't want to be there with their parents or their younger siblings, and then at the end they're into it and they're warm and they're having a good time. And you know, those are the things that I kind of love to watch.
Yeah, for sure.
Just forget that they're a teenager for a second and they're just enjoying
like,
being with their family.
I'm not really that cool. I'm actually the nerd inside.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
just,
And
Well,
you
that's
know,
what-
I can actually impress my parents and, you know, and give them, you know, and I am, it's
I'm
I
actually
think
smart
it's
at
great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you have the 90 minutes. So the first half hour, they're still a teenager, and
Right.
then they start to loosen up.
Yeah.
So do you
Forget,
have
it's supposed to be sulky.
do you also design seats in your room?
We will
For
have,
lock-
we will have a place to sit in each of our rooms for people that, you know, want.
Kind of feel like that's necessary in these long games to have a seat
Mhm.
for the person who just wants to sit and watch, you know?
Yeah, I remember discovering a couch in Music Academy at some point,
Oh, this is comfortable. Yeah.
but it was towards the end. So,
Those are dangerous though, because once you sit down, you break your energy, and then, you know, so it's, you know,
Yeah. It's like, bring the puzzles to me.
yeah.
Yeah. What about Dimitri? Any stories?
First of all, I totally agree. It's something that I always comment on when other escape room friends of ours invited us to go test play their games. Having a place to sit for me is very important for people who have back pains or anyone who wants to sit down even for a few minutes. Especially in our games, because of the duration, we make sure that there's always a sofa, bed, chairs, whatever, stairs, somewhere to sit down. And as about the crazy stories that you asked about, I can be here for another hour, so I'm not gonna take so much time. Our games are 3 hours long, and we are open 24/7. So we have seen a lot of strange things, but most of them, like 99%, were good crazy things. So as I described, the mansion is not an escape room. It's not a room because it's a house, and it's not an escape because your goal is not to escape. The door is always open. Teams can go in and out whenever they want. Like you mentioned earlier, guys, the bathroom is inside the house, so it's free to use whenever the team wants. There is a balcony. If someone wants to smoke, they can go out in the balcony and smoke whenever they want. We don't tell them anything. So we have teams who leave, like a player can leave during the game to go downstairs to the kiosk to buy chocolate or get some, you know, maybe refreshment, and then come back and continue playing, like during the game time. Like, we want them to feel like it's a real house. So if they don't do something that they wouldn't like me to do at their place, they're welcome to do whatever they want. Like you said, people can come up with snacks or having things on their own we had, before COVID, we used to have a coffee machine. We used to have snacks in the game for the team. So it's a little bit different. And about a crazy story that you mentioned, I think I told you that, but it's one of the first things that comes to mind, because we have given away a stool to be fixed at a carpenter in our neighborhood. And we specifically told them that we are going to pick it up when it's ready. It was just a decorative stool. It didn't do anything. It was positioned in the corner of one room. The guys over there, maybe there was a sort of miscommunication, so they decided to bring it back. And the time they arrived, there was a team inside playing. So they rang the doorbell and the team opened the door from the inside. So we had a team on the one side and someone who was trying to deliver something and get paid on the other. And let's say it was a very funny interaction to watch from cameras, because he was trying to tell them that it's real and the team was persuaded that's part of the story. So it was pretty fun for us to watch.
They could have actually paid the fee for you. That would have been
It's like,
funny.
I think we're supposed to pay for
Yeah.
this and receive this. This is part of the story, the experience.
Yeah.
It's
That's so
very
cool.
fun. Like, we give the teams a phone in every room. So there is a smartphone in every game that the team finds, and this is the way we communicate to them. But it's a real phone, so we can contact them, but it has a SIM card. So one time, someone called the phone of the mansion by accident. The team picked up, and I'm not gonna say what it is because I don't want to spoil the story. But the guy on the phone was trying to find someone, and the team was replying in character that we are here for this and that reason. So it was extremely fun until they realized that it was just a wrong number.
So much like things you can do with this. Like there's so many angles and directions you can go with.
Sure.
Okay, so as we're wrapping up, I just want to know, in terms of advice that you can give to an owner if they're thinking of doing a longer game style like what you guys have, just one golden advice, what would you give? Chris?
Well, I think in order to build a room, you have to capture their attention. And so, that what you described when you were talking about playing Dimitris's room, where you weren't aware of the time, it just went by. If you're going to build a room of longer duration, it's got to feel that way. It's got to be fun and engaging, and not feel tedious and routine. So, I think you have to build the room that you want to play, that you just feel is fun and that you're passionate about, and keep trying and designing and iterating until you've done really what you think is something that's best and great. That if you're just painting by numbers or connecting dots, it's probably not going to be an inspired and fun and unique experience. So, whether it's a 60-minute room or a 3-hour-minute room, I think that's really my advice.
Yeah, well said, for sure. And does Dimitri, you want to add some to that?
I totally agree with that. It's something that, regardless of the time, just go with what you would like to play as a player, as a gamer. Make something that you would love, and it will come out great. And there has been a very good escape room community in Athens. A lot of the escape room owners in Athens, we are very close friends with each other. We help each other when building rooms and play testing games. So you just have to go with your gut and trust that if you like something, there's going to be an audience out there that also enjoys it. Nothing is going to be perfect, and nothing is going to be loved by everyone. It's just like art. It's very subjective. Nobody likes the same movies. Nobody likes the same paintings in a museum. So just build something that you would like to play, and it will turn out good. And about the longer time that you mentioned, it also has to do with story. Like, storytelling is very important for me and for our team, because the longer you are, you need to have a purpose about why you're there and what you're doing. And also something that comes to mind very much lately when we have been contacted by other people who are trying to open the first room or they're building another game, is making the team of players a protagonist, a character in the story, and make something that happens during the game experience to be important, and something could change narratively during the play, during the game. So that makes it more immersive and make them do something that affects something one way or another. I'm not gonna spoil everything about our games, but this is something that we do. Like, we try to bring the teams to sometimes an uncomfortable position of having to choose something or making something that will come back later. And I'm gonna leave it to there. Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
think about
Yeah,
the story, how you're gonna present it.
Yeah. And then one last question for you guys, obviously, is there something new in the works, and how much can you tell us about it?
Well, so first of all, I wanted to say something that comment on something Dimitris said about being friends with all the other escape room owners. I feel that way too. I mean, I really respect and admire a lot of the other people who I know in the escape room community, particularly what I would call the more, boutique, people that kind of share the same mindset. And, I never feel competitive with those people. I always feel totally collaborative. And I think there's a great kind of esprit de corps in the escape room world that I think is global. And, that I welcome any escape room, creator, owner here. And I think it's a great culture, and it's the way it should be. We are we're working on a couple projects that will go live next year. I don't think I can say much about them. I will say.
Sorry, can I? No. Okay. I don't know who's on that side, but a great power.
The one thing I'll say is that I think escape rooms is a pretty challenging business, in all honesty. If you just think about, and I think a lot of escape room owners are thinking about this. If you think about the economics of, so for Dimitris, you have a 3-hour game. Well, I'm sorry, I won't even speak to his business. I'll speak to ours. You have a 2-hour game, and you have 4 people, and there's only so much you can kind of get per person, per hour, per space, and it's a very small, throughput versus like a haunt or something like that, where you can get 100 or hundreds of people through in an hour, and maybe paying the same price. So, so we are looking at different kinds of experiences that maybe have different numbers of people that can play at the same time, and how you can change the flow and all that. We never want to lose the intimacy of having a private experience and the attention that you get. So we're just not into doing like the big mass thing, but we are trying to play with that. Can you change the flow a little bit? So we'll, a couple of our projects coming up are have different footprints in terms of the throughput.
Okay, still under Palace.
If anyone wants to know about this, then you can always come to our website and get on our mailing list, and you'll be the first to know when we have something.
Oh, good.
All right, yeah, definitely check back.
Yeah. All right, Dimitri.
Like
putting you on the spotlight in this world.
Has already been mentioned today. We are creating right now. We're in the process of creating our 4th game in Athens, which is going to be the sequel to the Music Academy. There's a little bit of a cliffhanger in the ending of the Music Academy, and the game is going to be located in the same building. I'm not going to say more because we are in dangerous territory, and I hate spoilers so much. And there are so many things that are in our minds. So it's very difficult sometimes to focus in one project or another. Some of them I cannot even reveal right now, but we know for sure that next summer we are gonna be partnering with the Athens Pride, and we are gonna create a free game, which is gonna be like an escape experience / treasure hunt in the streets of Athens during the Pride Week. That is something that is very dear to us, and we're gonna it's very difficult. We created it, but because of COVID reasons, we couldn't run it. So we will keep it for next year. Hopefully, fingers crossed, everything's gonna be better, because we want to give something to even more people that can participate and take part in. And I also have to say that it's so much different to create an experience that is outdoors. In the past, we have also created a limited secret edition of an outdoor experience in Paros. So we might come back to that one of the coming years. It was a 3-hour game, but it was mainly outdoors in a village and in the beaches of Paros. So you need to wear swimming suits, you need to be ready to swim and do various things that you wouldn't expect to do. So we were thinking about what is the complete opposite of an escape room. Like in the escape rooms, the concept is being locked somewhere and trying to escape. So we flipped it on its tail. So in that experience, you are outside. So 2/3 of the game are outside in the open, and you are actually trying to break into something. So you have to break into 2 things. And again, it's a very different experience because anything that is outdoors, it's quite more difficult to handle. And there's something else that I'm gonna keep a secret, and hopefully you will know it in the next few years.
Okay.
Well, check his website also.
Website as well for updates.
Yeah, paradoxproject.gr. You can follow us our social media, Instagram, Facebook. And if anyone visits Athens, feel free to email me. I answer all the emails by myself, and I'm very good at planning things for others. So if you want to come to Athens, let me know, and I will give you back feedback about other great escape rooms that you can play in Athens, and also how to move around or anything you might want.
Yeah. And then I guess since now we're on this Visit Athens situation, Paradox Project did generously offer us a discount code. If you are listening to this episode, then you're in luck because
how much percentage?
13.14. I wonder why. 13.14% off if you use ESCAPETHEROOMers to book their games. Maybe. Then you have to find out what that is. Okay. But anyways, yeah, for sure. Make sure to check them out if you're in Athens. It's one of the
definitely carve out 3 hours. 200 minutes. 200 minutes.
Because there's 3 of them. More like 9 hours.
Oh, you mean a whole day? Yeah. Do the whole day. Back to back. Bring your own food though.
Yeah, for sure.
And then also we have do we have a raffle winner? We do have a raffle winner, right? But what did I get to win?
So I guess we are at our raffle point. But
I
do want to thank Dimitri and Chris for coming on, and we definitely look forward to your future creations because this sounds really exciting, and we know that they're all going to be amazing. Because look, the time of creation went from usually half a year to a year, and then 2 years, and then 2.5 years, and then I just see that's now I feel like that's how amazing games are created. You just have to put a lot of time into it. It just gets getting longer. That's what it is.
I think Chris's next game is going to need 2.5 years.
Oh gosh, yeah. But the anticipation from the players are so up there. It just keeps getting upper and upper that you're just oh my god, hope this is good.
Down.
Absolutely.
No. But anyways, so we do have a raffle segment for this as well, because it's going to be one of any of the digital games from Palace Games. It's going to be up to 8 players that you can play together, and then we draw our winners from our Instagram post. So if you did miss this week's, then make sure that you catch up with our next Behind the MasterMinds episodes, and then you'll follow the rules of how to enter on there. So are we ready?
I think we're ready. Okay. Here we go.
So the winner
is
Liz Logan. Logan. Yeah, make sure to contact us in 48 hours though, because if we don't hear from you, then we're gonna draw new winners. So,
congratulations, Liz Logan.
Yeah, congrats. I'm sure she's gonna have so much fun with this.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and we're gonna put also this underneath our episode so that if you miss it in there, you'll be able to check out the discount code for Paradox Project in there as well.
Yeah.
So, and we want to say a special thank you to our episode sponsor, Trapdoor Escape Room. Trapdoor Escape Room is the largest immersive venture on the East Coast with experience as large as 5,000 square feet. They are pinnacle of themed entertainment, bring you some of the largest and most immersive escape rooms on the East Coast. They currently have a location in the Poconos as well as Red Bank and Morristown in New Jersey. And you can check them out on www.trapdoorsescape.com. And of course, if you're interested in becoming one of our BTM episode sponsors, you can email us at info@escapethroomers.com. Cool. All right. So lastly, we're going on a 10-day cruise to Spain, France, Italy soon. So we'll bring you some adventures and or a
We'll
little
play
stories.
couple escape rooms in there somewhere.
Just a couple, because I kind of want to get like a little
that itch.
real vacation versus indoor vacation all the time.
We need some sun.
Yeah, seriously. But anyways, it is going to be on a cruise. So we will update our Instagram and Facebook story so you can follow us your adventure.
Yep.
This one will be a little more on a travel leisure basis.
But we will be back for the next episode.
Yeah, but the journey will start on September 22nd. So that's when we'll start posting our stories.
Yeah.
We will be back on BTM on October 7th, where we'll be discussing the topic of how to make the best point and click games, because that is something
and there's so many out
we have
there.
so many creators out there now that make point and click games and digital games. So I'm sure everyone will be able to tune in to that, right? Because they played probably a lot of them during the pandemic.
Yeah, you had to have played at least one during this whole time.
Yeah, for sure. So once again, tune in to hear a thing or two from some of the industry best, and then it will be at the same time, 4 p.m. on Friday.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the weather.
weekend.
Peace.
Thank you so much, guys. Bye.